Can you first briefly introduce yourself to us?
Sure. My name is Elaine Smith-Genzer. I work at the UN Joint SDG Fund, part of the developing group of the UN.
Nice to meet you. And what part of these investments of the sovereign wealth fund goes to or related to sustainable development goals?
So, in the last years, the Sovereign Wealth Fund increased their sustainable-like investments or assets from 3 to 8%. So they already doubled. But knowing the potential, what they can be even more because of their mandates are being updated, we expect the numbers to be much bigger going further.
Okay, sounds good. And where these funds come from?
The sovereign wealth funds. In general, as we were seeing in the presentation, a lot of them come from countries that depended or created their wealth because of the hydrocarbon, so oil and generation countries. But all over the world, there are in total 98 different sovereign wealth funds. So comparing to the number of countries that are out there, you're going to see that almost half of the countries in the world already have sovereign wealth funds.
And what is exactly like your role in this fund?
So at the Joint SDG Fund of the UN, I work in partnerships and engagement, really trying to capitalize and leverage the public capital that we have in our fund into bringing private sector capital and making sure that for every dollar that we invest, we try to bring 5 to 10 other dollars that are coming from others that will try to see us as catalytic, as the ones that are starting the process to invest in SDG with a Sustainable Developing Goal framework in order to achieve the Sustainable Developing World Agenda for 2030.
That sounds very great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you. All right.
Asset class managers around the globe. He has had senior positions at RS Management and Bridgewater Associates in the past. He began his career in McKinsey, and he got his BA summa cum laude from Yale University, Master in Philosophy in Politics from Oxford University, and where he was Marshall Scholar, and a JD from Yale Law School. He currently serves also as an external advisory board for strategic investment funds at the World Bank. Is it correct? Great. Okay, so let's go with Elaine now. Elaine works at the United Nations Joint SDG Fund. We are starting to collaborate now, I think it's a year. And she works on engagement and partnerships development. She worked more than 20 years as trader and research sales manager for Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and JP Morgan. In 2013, she was elected Young Global Leader at the World Economic Forum. And then she joined the World Economic Forum in 2015 for 3 years before joining the World Bank in the Global Engagement and Partnerships until 2020, I think, when she joined the UN. And she holds a BBA from the University of Mackenzie, an MBA from the University of São Paulo, and is a graduate from Harvard Business School Owner and President Management Program. So thank you for being here. The first question will be for you, Elaine, if you don't mind, which is just tell us briefly about the institution and how do you connect the United Nations Joint SDG Fund with sovereign wealth funds, which will give us the vibe of the...
Thank you, Javier. Thank you, colleagues from ICEX and the Trade Commission of Spain in New York for hosting this event for us. I thank Javier. We have been working for a year together, but seems much longer than that. We were just in Washington, D.C., where I live, in an event organized by Wilson Center with 13 different sovereign wealth funds in Africa. And now I'm here, and hopefully there are many other things for us to do together. And I think it's only fair to ask what's next. I think that's the name of this meeting. But let me begin by talking a little bit about the UN Joint SDG Fund. I think a lot of people know the UN from the humanitarian work, from conflict work, from trying to be upfront in areas of conflict. But not everyone understands or sees the work that the UN does in development. So there is a pillar of development that we work mainly in the Global South. And the Joint SDG Fund was created about, we he was talking about young and teenage funds. We are toddler. We are created in 2019 by meet the resolution of the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, and we were brought into life to support countries that are looking to develop not only their markets, but to look into the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, as a framework to deliver growth and to deliver prosperity for people and the planet. And the Joint SDG Fund is tiny. We are about 300 million a year. That's how we are created. We are not supposed to grow. We are not supposed to be billions of dollars. We are supposed to be catalytic. And what do I mean by that is that with this $300 million a year, we are in 115 countries or areas, or we join programs. We operate through 27 different agencies of the UN or bodies of the UN. So we need the agencies and the different topics to work on the ground in different places. And in our catalytic portfolio, that give or take is about $10 million only, because compared to this, for us a lot of money, but compared to the Sovereign Wealth Fund world, it's tiny. We are in 10 countries, and the type of work that we try to do in trying to be catalytic is be the trailblazer, the first one to get in and support loans to agricultural farmers in Malawi, or to support the change of crops from tobacco to something like pineapples in Suriname. And we are supposed to work also in renewable energy or access to energy in a lot of different places in the Global South. So with that, the partnership with working with IE University and other distinguished partners, we are omitting the names of some here, is really trying to access not only the capital, but the intention of those sovereign wealth funds, that we start to be asked to revisit their mandates that sometimes are 40 or 30 years old, and to look into the frameworks that they are using, not only about energy, but in all the types of investments that they do. We are probably more familiar in listening about the ESGs, but the SDGs is also a framework that is well used, with the colorful blocks about energy and gender and life below water and life on Earth, and there are 17 of those. But the intention to work with Sovereign Wealth Fund is because the governments, the federal governments are the sovereign. They are the ones that need to report on the SDGs to the UN. The Sovereign Wealth Fund is a common body of those same governments that have longer-term ideas or longer-term patience to invest in the same places where we are. So we are happy to be the trailblazer. We are happy to start, and then hopefully the Sovereign Wealth Fund industry or base of funds, but also the private sector, the other agencies of developing in different markets can follow us and try to leverage the tiny size of the Joint SDG Fund. And again, $300 million. We are looking to close the gap in delivering the SDGs for in 2030. That's the agenda that we are trying to cover. That we need more than $4.3 trillion. So we need all the help that we can get.
What is Constellation? We're about 5 years old as a joint venture, and we're the first partnership, active partnership between sovereigns and pensions on multiple continents. We have sovereigns and pensions, 3 of whom are on the list of the top 10 that Javier mentioned, but 9 others as well, including New York State Common Retirement Fund here in this city, the Swedish National Pension System, the British Railway Pension System, the Alaska Permanent Fund, which is a petrodollar oil fund, the Kuwait Investment Authority, Canada Public Pension, the largest private equity investor in the world, etc. It's a terrific group. We formed a joint venture together starting in 2018, thanks to Javier's help with the infographics. We convinced people that it was worth doing, and it was quite a challenge. Javier wanted me to speak a little bit to why it's difficult, why were we the first to accomplish this. First of all, the regulatory challenges of building an actual business that's owned jointly by sovereigns and pensions from multiple countries, talk about the legal hours. I'm actually only 21 years old. I just look like...
The third one is to improve the business environment for foreign and local firms into Spain. This is something that, of course, we do together with other government bodies. And the fourth is to connect Spanish firms that are looking for international capital with foreign funds and other institutional funds. Well, having said that, the sovereign wealth funds is an industry that simply we cannot ignore, with this 10 trillion in assets under management, and also because the sovereign wealth funds turning into leading investors in a lot of cross-border deals in recent times, and also because in the last years sovereign wealth funds are knocking the doors of Spain, of Spanish firms looking for new business opportunities in my country. So because of that, we are working together with IE, with Javier and his team in this analytical tool that is the report, because we need to know better what these institutional investors are doing. And also we are working in some initiatives, and in particular I would split these initiatives that we are working with sovereign wealth funds in two. First one, we have regular meetings, not only in Spain but also in the country of origin of these funds. This is something that we do together with other government bodies, and basically we provide information about the macroeconomic and regulatory issues in Spain, also about business opportunities. Of course, there are other sources of information.
Elaine, for you, you have been talking about this catalytic role. How do you think sovereign funds can play this catalytic role in when it comes to invest this big money into these very small projects many times in, let's say, contexts that are not the US, Europe, and in other developed economies?
Thank you, Javier. One thing that Adrian was talking about is the misconception that we are talking here about low returns and high risk. Not necessarily. A lot of the times that we're looking we're looking for partners like the Sovereign Wealth Fund, funds, and other government entities like the developing finance institutions or even multilaterals. We are talking about patience capital. It's not free cash. I mean, we need to pay the cost of that money, and a lot of times is as competitive as any other market and can bring returns to the investors. A couple of examples. I was just between yesterday and today, I was listening a lot about Malawi. Malawi is in Africa, and we have a project there where we are creating a fund to give loans to farmers. The country just went to a devaluation. They lost 25% of the currency value, and because of that, the project that we announced about 18 months ago is quite challenging, because the farmers now need to pay or to buy new machinery for their farming at a much more expensive rate for them. But just between yesterday and today, I was listening. The State Department in the United States just announced $350 million to Malawi on transport and land. And this morning I was in a meeting talking about renewable energy in Africa, and I was listening about IFC building the largest utility plant in Malawi. So if I'm coming now and trying to invest with farmers and trying to grow that industry, and the role that a type of institution like the Sovereign Wealth Fund can play is try to de-risk the investors they are coming after, because the investors they are coming after, they are looking for agricultural exposure, farming exposure, food exposure, but there are so many other entities that are already creating or enabling the environment for those investments to happen that are already there. So if you have the opportunity to think in a place that you could invest. You want where that homework was already done several years ago. You have transportation, you have the land, we have energy, and you have the UN investing in developing the farming. And talking about risk specifically, when we talk about the SDGs, there are 17 of them, and you don't separate them. There is no one that is more important to say life in the ocean is less important, biodiversity in the ocean is less important than land, or ending poverty is less or more important than ending hunger. But the interesting thing is that nowadays there are products in the market where we are trying to structure a $1 billion impact fund, where we will be investing in a number of different funds that are associated with the UN in farming, entrepreneurship, women entrepreneurship, health, education, that pretty much diverse the risk because of the sectors. And we would love to have sovereign wealth fund looking to invest with traditional private sector investors, institutional investors, and trying to be part of the pool of patients' capital that will not want the return to be overnight or in a couple of months, but to be there for a couple of years and give us time to develop what we need to develop.